Greetings, people! Numbaro here, and today we're starting a new series, the Arena Survival Roguelite tier list, as I've played quite a few of these games, and, well, they're quite enjoyable, honestly, but what's the best way to talk about them en masse? Well, obviously a tier list. I've honestly been wanting to make a tier list anyways, because I thought that seemed like a fun thing to try making like a video of, so, yes, we'll get started, but before I do, there's a couple little things I want to get out of the way. I haven't played every game of this genre, and I know I'm missing a bunch. So if there's any ones that you like, or even dislike, that you think need to be on this tier list, just throw some words underneath the video, and I'll check them out in the future, as I do intend to make this a monthly little series, so every month we'll come back, move things around if they've had updates, and, you know, add the new ones that are just been played, and all of that. It's, you know, as a monthly tier list should go. But before we start, I think let's just go over what each of the tiers are. So at the bottom tier here, I see no point. But please, prove me wrong. So essentially, games that are that phrase, I don't really see a point to them. Like, I don't know why you would play them over other games of the genre, but I would love to see them eventually gain some sort of reason. Sadly, at the point of this, they will not have that. Next one we got is Some Potential, which is games that have some potential. So they're better than this. They're not quite a complete game. They're not something that feels great to play, but it could, in the future, very likely become something much better. Has some good ideas, they're just not fully realized, or maybe, you know, that kind of stuff. Good, but could be better, is games that are, they're in a good place. Like, they're completely playable, and generally, they are fun. But they just need a little bit more of something to either give it its own unique identity or has some sort of aspect of the game that's a little derivative and just kind of, you know. So, they're good, but they could be better. Next one we have is Great Games, which are, I could not think of anything really super fancy to say here. It's just games that are great, completely playable. They're not the best of the best, but they are still really good games. Anything here is still a great choice of game to play. And then our final tier. Wait, what time is it? Oh, well, one more run can't hurt. Yeah, any game that... I just wrote that because, you know, I've had those moments. I'm sure most people have who play a lot of roguelites. When you have a really good game, you don't even care what time it is. You just gotta... You want to go again? I'm not quite tired. So these are for the best of the best. And, well, let's just start this off now. So, the most logical place to start is the game that probably started the genre. Well, it didn't start the genre. It popularized the genre. Let's say that properly. And, well, yeah, it goes up in the top tier. Vampire Survivors it's great. The dev noticed like the game was gaining popularity and knew what to do with that and kept adding new things. So the game is very much, even though a lot of the other games on this list are attempting to copy what Vampire Survivors is, it still manages to feel unique and distinct from all the rest of how polished it is, and just the constant increase of new and fun things. The game's filled with a bunch of little secret unlocks of characters and items, and mostly just characters, let's be honest. They have some weird and kind of obtuse unlocks, but they're always fun to try to play a little bit, just to figure out what's going on, and then, you know, you don't accomplish anything, so you just go to the forums and find out, wow, that was crazy, but whatever. This is a fun new little challenge to try to get something new, and, well, Vampire Survivors is a great game. I guess I'll just have the trailer be playing here off of the Steam page. This is a really old trailer, honestly. The game is actually made to look a lot more polished from here. I don't know why they never updated their trailer, but, yeah, so the game's big thing that I think it does incredibly well, as well as you see, and the enemies all walk at you, is moments like this, where it creates these, like, little kind of obstacle-y parts, where it's not just enemies walking at you, but there's some other little moments, and, well, honestly, there isn't that many from the trailer, because there actually isn't that many in the first area, being honest with you, and they have not updated the page at all. But the game's, I don't know, I love how there are moments in the game where enemies are coming at you in strange set patterns. And it sounds weird, but it's a way of creating variety when it doesn't actually have different enemy types other than just different models. So it's kind of cool. The game has done a great job with staying like really fun after all of this time. This is probably like most people's most played arena survival game, and there's a good reason for it. It's incredible. All right, next we have Nomad Survival, which was a game that originally came out and was essentially kind of like I remember seeing it people trying to sell it as it's like Vampire Survivors, but not, which is kind of how it started off. It was very, very, very much just a let's just be Vampire Survivors type of game. As yeah. As you can see, there are little obstacles that do occur sometimes in some of these different maps. The game's biggest problem, I find, is the enemy variety. It's very much just walk at you kind of stuff, and then there are bosses, and the bosses do have some unique aspects. You kind of saw a boss there, not really, but yeah. But I said but so many times here. I'm sorry about that. And, well, it's a... Alright, actually, here, no. Let's talk about this first. So, one of the coolest aspects of the game is this, where you're choosing of your characters. You pick your character. Each character is essentially just a different skill. Their skill, like their weapon, their attack. And they have different cooldowns, and they level up purely through gaining just general levels. And they'll evolve as you go. Then, after that, you pick the heritage, which is essentially your passive, which these are all very different from each other, and they can cause some silly different effects. Also not in this trailer, as because this is another game that decided not to update its trailer after the sheer amount of updates it has had. It also has the pet system that was included. So essentially, well, you get pets, which will give you another passive, and they'll go and help you around in the fights. It's kind of a cool system. There's a lot of really good ideas for, like, making distinct different character builds before you start. The bosses are kind of a cool system, as they do have attacks that you have to dodge and all that, and it's, they're all pretty basic still, and then they also have little, like, these things over here. Each map has its own little objective that'll randomly appear, but they're all pretty much just go here and destroy big, beefy thing. But each stage does seem to have its own unique little enemy type, which, like, where was that in the trailer? Like, right here, there's enemies that when they die, they kind of create these kind of moments, and yeah, that's kind of cool. It's its own different thing, but all in all, they're not that different. Each of the, like, the stages are well built for what they are. But there isn't really that much of a variety of enemies. You're mostly just dealing with walk-at-you kind of guys, which is, at this point, kind of getting a little bit boring in my mind. Now, I'm going to throw it here. It's a good game. And it's got probably some big patches coming up, and it could very well go up here or even here in the future. But right now, I think it is still just, well, it's a middle of the road, but like, it's still completely playable and very fun, just maybe in shorter bursts. So next, we got Brotato. Now, Brotato is an interesting game. This game already has a modding scene for it. People love this game, and there is a great reason why. Well, it's obvious. It's a fun game. Very simple, very, very simple arenas. As you can see, there is a variety of different enemy types that do have their own different mechanics that you have to be wary of. But the game's biggest, like, gimmick that makes it different is it's wave-based. So each wave you gain, well, you pick up the money over here, which is also your experience. When you complete the wave, you'll level up as many times as you filled up your experience bar, allowing you to gain, like, basic stats. But each of these pickups are also converted into money, which is I don't think there's actually a screenshot of it, but there is a shop in between waves, which you can then spend your money on to gain new weapons, new passives, and all of that. The weapon system's really fun, as it's taken some kind of, like, auto battler type of mechanics to it. So weapons of similar types are all going to gain different bonuses for the more of them you have. You can combine 3 identical weapons together to create... Was it 3 or 2? I don't know, I think you need 3. Damn, I actually forget. I haven't played in a little bit, honestly. But, no, the game's very good. You can combine them to get them up to higher levels. There's different character classes. Like, everything you'd kind of want. And, you know... Yeah, Brotato is... It's not even out. It is still a demo, and there's already people modding this game. This thing is going to have a massive lifespan. Is it possibly going to surpass Vampire Survivors? I don't know. Probably, I don't know. Both these games are really well made. Speaking of well made, let's go on to the next one. Ugh. Okay. All right. Beautiful Mystic Survivors. I'm just going to... Yeah. All right. So... If you're looking at this game and you're seeing like the character designs and all that, and you're thinking, wow, this kind of just looks like a quote-unquote adult parody of Vampire Survivors, and honestly, you would not be far off. The game does have a couple unique mechanics. We'll get into that a little bit more, but I kind of want to talk about this one aspect, because I think this is kind of interesting, all things considered. So, the game did start off as a quote-unquote adult game, which is something I really have no interest in playing at all. But as you see, it does not have that tag in anywhere here, because I'm going to click over here. The publishers of this game decided to create a brand new version of themselves where they were going to take some of their games and release like regular game versions of them, removing all of the quote-unquote adult content, which I think is actually kind of cool to see. Like that means that they kind of have hope, or not hope, but like they believe in their game, right? They think, yeah, this is actually a game. People will like this for being a game. Now, let's talk about Mystic Survivors here. So there's been 2 versions of the game. They got a big patch that came out in June. And then there was it before that patch when it originally had the demo show up, which I don't remember when that was. It's been out for a long time. I'll just say that. So in the original version of the game really set itself apart by having this unique system of when you would level up, you'd get like weapons and stuff, just like any other Vampire Survivor game. But as you can see here, well, Arena Survival Roguelite, that's what I'm going to call them. That's my favorite term. This weapon's a legendary. That doesn't mean the scythe is always a legendary. Any weapon in the game can roll any of the different rarities. So common, rare, epic, legendary. Getting a different rarity improves the base stats. But because the game also uses a randomized leveling system, which I think this was actually the first one that was doing that, though there are problems with that system that we will get into with a couple other games that have that as their major flaw. And, well, it would change the values you would gain. So you would gain, if you could get a legendary weapon early, and you could just essentially pump all your skills into it, and you'd get some really silly, fun builds based around that item, because the stats that you're gaining were set in a very strange way. They would be much stronger than most progression systems of these type of games, which was honestly pretty fun to try to get the builds going. Though, like... Alright, we'll talk about... I was going to keep talking about the leveling system. So, it made a new strategy that it was unique to this game of when do you pick the weapons that you like. So you could be like, wow, Magic Lamp is my favorite item, but I got it level 2, and it's only common. Do I want that? And so it set this new system that was actually very unique to the game, and there still isn't another game that I have played that does create a system that feels quite like this. And it was a lot of fun. Biggest problems were, well, let's see. Can I get this? Enemies would start behaving like this around 7 minutes in, essentially turning the game into just a massive DPS check. A build was about 15 minutes, but more than half of it was just this. Just a huge, massive, enemy-dense horde. Now, it was still managed to be kind of enjoyable when you would get these kind of, you find your legendary weapon and you see what was made from your just honestly random luck, but it was kind of a little bit satisfying. So the game was just weapons at this point. Now, this patch came out for one of the Steam Next Fests, and they added in passives, as well as one other really good system. I'll talk about the good system first. So, they added in character skills. So the way that the game seemed like it was going to differentiate the different characters, other than just their starting weapon, was an active skill. So you had the sword character, who is I think the one that's being controlled in all of these. Can't really get a good look at her, but that's fine. It's not really important. So she had the skill in which she would like dash forward, doing massive damage to everything she passed through. It was pretty fun and a cool skill. And we got this character over here who starts with the scythe, and they had the ability to create a bunch of tornadoes that would just kind of go off in random directions from them, doing massive damage. These were all had decent, but like not too long of cooldown, so you could constantly be using these skills. And it's a good system, and I do hope to see more games start using a skill system to differentiate their characters. There are a couple of them that are doing that now, but still not that many. But the second part, the passive items. So, with the inclusion of the passive items, the devs decided to completely mess with the rarity system. Now the difference in value between the common and legendaries is much smaller. So the game still has this crazy point that occurs at the same point. None of that's changed. What is changed is the passives, which are honestly not even that good. They're all the most basic of just stat passives that you would see. The values are also quite small. Like the attack one is just like a 5% attack boost when as you're seeing some of these numbers of like 16, 5% is doing nothing for you for each level. Like it's nothing. The game was better off without passives. And yeah, so everything that made the game unique is essentially gone now, with the exception of the skills. But yeah, I have to place it bottom here. Any game that has a unique system that is unique to it and decides to go, no, I don't want to do this. I want to be as derivative as possible and take away what makes me, me, and focus on being someone else. No. You get no credits for that right there. Oops, no, I mean to do that. Sorry. Alright, what's next was Spirit Hunters. I'm clicking on the wrong thing to drop my mouse almost. Oops. Alright, Spirit Hunters. Now, Spirit Hunters is a great game. It has I love the art style. It's simple, but wow, this is a really outdated trailer. Sorry, like this bone shot ability that the guy was using, like it doesn't even work like this anymore where it fires out in the sides. But whatever, that's not the point. The art style is great. It's very vibrant and fun, and well, like the game's designed to be fast, which I think is really cool. So it's just a 15-minute run, just like Mystic Survivors was. And the game also kind of uses a randomized upgrade system, though you only are limited to 4 weapons. So, and there is also a max to each upgrade. So you will eventually get what you need because you also level quite fast. Also, the weapons system is pretty fun in the game, as each of these weapons is essentially built with an inherent flaw to it. So your build is essentially collecting a bunch of items that you can put together to create a build that covers each other's weaknesses while focusing on each other's strengths, which is awesome. There really isn't another one that I can think of that does a system that feels quite like that. A lot of the other games seem like the weapons are all designed to be good on their own, and I really like how this is. So, the game did originally have the game recently had a massive patch. Honestly, before that massive patch, I think I would have had to put the game here. It was a lot of fun, but it had some really big balance problems. like really big ones. And it sucked because I really wanted to play the game, but then I just wouldn't have fun because of it. You were really forced to essentially hard focus a single item, and like there was certain items that were way better than others. But the game's massive patch did occur, and I kind of want to show a little bit of that. Where the heck am I looking? There we go. I know how to work Steam, I swear. So, like, all right. Like, this is the ability rework. Look at this. Like, look at how much effort was put into changing all of these skills. That's the patch notes. Like, there isn't a massive number of skills, but they just reworked everything. Oh yeah, and reworked monsters. This is awesome. I love this. So, the game's elites were essentially unique bosses. They had their own unique skins and everything. They were kind of like a bigger version of a basic enemy type, but they had their own things that made them unique visually. Well, now they're all made to have different effects. So some of them will cause area denial, like explosions on the ground, or build different like obstacles, or split into multiple things upon death, throw projectiles at you, create damage over time fields and stuff like that. They made each of the elites their own unique boss, essentially. There are a couple basic enemies that will kind of have unique mechanics, like the snake guy here will throw his axe at you, which is, awesome. I really like having enemy variety. That is becoming more and more of a thing that I'm looking for in arena survival roguelites. But then also in these patch notes, they throw this on at the end. Plans for having evolving weapons at the end, causing crazy different little effects. And it's like, wow, I really want this now, but I don't get to see it. And it sucks, and it makes me a little sad. And, yeah, honestly, for that reason, it goes into great game. I could see next month it being up here. If not next month, the one after, whenever we get that next big patch. This is a very fun game. It's got a lot of good stuff going for it. I do recommend it. Oh, and I also you know what? I think I forgot to mention this other thing. The game's meta progression, its presentation is probably my favorite of all games in the genre. This huge skill tree looking thing. It looks like something out of Path of Exile. Now, functionally, it is very similar to just like the more basic, just, you got all the skills and passives and boop, 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 pop, throw my resources into leveling up what I want. But this one makes the system of traveling around, and I don't know, it adds something. It's a really weird thing to say, but it does add something. All right, now around 20 minutes. All right, I'll start this off by saying I think this is a really good game. I understand that. I just don't know if... I'm just not the biggest fan of it, personally. I don't know. I don't have a problem with any of the mechanics or any of the systems of the game. I don't know. For whatever reason, I just don't feel that compelled to keep going. So I'm just going to say that right now. So I'm sure some people... Because I know there will be an argument that people will make that it belongs up here. And a lot of people... I've seen a lot of people that consider this to be their favorite of the genre. But I'm just going to warn you right now. I'm not going to end up doing that. So yeah, as you can see, you can get craziness to go on. So one of the cool systems of the game is, again, kind of like Nomad Survival. You pick a character, you pick a weapon. So the characters are essentially the passives, and the weapons are, well, the weapons. And... you level up normally as you would, but the leveling system is, well, this is it. So when you level up and you pick a skill for the first time, you'll unlock these next two underneath it. And then picking either of these, you don't have to get both, just one or the other will unlock this one. So each skill essentially has 4 tiers, but each tier is kind of its own mini skill, but they all work together to create a theme. And I think that's a really, really good system. It's a lot of fun. The game also has like an ascension system, so, every time you beat the game, you can play again with different modifiers to make it more difficult. A lot of really good stuff in this game. The abilities mostly all feel pretty good. The weapons feel pretty good. The characters are all pretty different. It seems each time a new character is added, they're almost seem like better than the other ones. Like they're becoming more and more unique as they go, which is exciting to see more in the future of how the game is. Unlocking characters is very simple. You just gather resources and buy them. That's all there is to it. There's no extra things you have to learn or skills to, or like achievements to accomplish, which has its ups and downs of if that's a good system or not. I like it and I don't. Like it's like I kind of want games to do both. So it's like I like one game to like just focus on one. So I'm happy that they've decided everything is just grind out and get, and not just skills or like do achievements to unlock them. I have no problem with either unlock system. I just think it's kind of weird when games mix and match a little bit. So pick one, stick with it, and they have. It's the same with unlocking the weapons, and yeah, no. It's a great game. It is great. I'm not going to say it's not, just because it's not my favorite. It is a great game. All right. Bounty of One. Now, this is a game I have played a lot of on the channel. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've probably watched a video of me playing Bounty of One. I love this game. This game has a lot of potential for the future, and well, not just potential for the future. It's great as is. So, the biggest thing that makes the game unique is you cannot move and shoot at the same time. So it creates this whole system of, I think did they make a new trailer? They might have, because it's got all the new characters that weren't in on launch. That's a positive. A lot of these games aren't doing that. So, yeah. So each character is essentially a different weapon. They do have some different stats. Yeah, no, they definitely made a new trailer. This is awesome. Because this game does come out soon. Like, really soon. It comes out this week. And that's really exciting. Thursday, so I'm going to be playing it, obviously, when that happens. And, yeah, so you pick up the money, which is experience, fills up the bar. Every time you do that, you get a level. Each of these levels are essentially just base stats. Each character has different base stats. So you got attack speed, damage, there's crit chance, move speed, blah, blah, blah. The game also has like a dodge as a major mechanic. As you can see, these dots on the character, that's how many dodges you have. They refill over time. Also has another game with an ascension mode, which honestly is pretty fun to go through. I do think some of the higher level ones do begin to force certain play styles, as there are skills in the game that activate upon being hit. You do not want to take a hit at all in the higher ascension levels. As you can see, you have very limited health. Characters start with like 3 generally, so 3 hits you're dead. And health drops aren't normally that plentiful, but man, these guys have a lot of health drops on the ground here. So yeah, Bounty of One is I love it. I really love this game. I am excited to see the early access release that's coming out really soon, and I can see this game only getting better. All right, like all of these are like all right. Honestly, I want all of these games, every game on this list, to just keep getting better. Now, let's go on to Fray Fight. So, let's go look at the price of Fray Fight. What? It's completely free, and which is kind of interesting. This is the only game currently that has that pay model. Wait, pay model isn't even the way to word that. Whatever. And, well, this game has problems. Let me just say that. So its leveling system is kind of similar to that of Brotato, with a more traditional kind of arena survival setup. There doesn't seem to really be a limit to passives or weapons or anything. The biggest problem with this game is the leveling of these items, as every weapon has one stat that'll evolve on it. It's not random or anything. It's just there's one set stat for every item that will go up, and that's it. So some of them are like, oh, you'll gain extra attack speed, or extra duration, or extra damage, which, so you really want to focus on the skills that gain the damage. Otherwise, you're going to get to these points where you're not able to really do much of anything. Upon completing 30 waves, you essentially win, and the game restarts, and just keeps going. There's no real end to it. Yeah. So the game does have microtransactions. I should say that right now. they're not really a problem. I'm not even gonna really factor them into how I'm like placing the game as like, well, there was a review I remember seeing a while back that was like, yeah, it's got the microtransactions, but like it costs you like $30 to max it, which isn't really massive for a game with microtransactions. Only problem with that is you can essentially use that $30 to buy all the other games that are essentially on this tier list that are available for purchase, and that would be a much better use of your money. I don't like Free Fight. I'm not sure how to make it better either. Like, I have a lot of ideas that I could say to improve games. Free Fight, I'm stumped. I don't think this game has a future, but please, prove me wrong. Alright, so we got from one kind of Norse-themed game to, let's go to another with, okay, so many games are with Nordic Ashes. Alright. This game, as you can see, is also another one that has a very limited health kind of system, but it is focusing more on a more traditional kind of arena survival setup of how you progress. Well, not really, actually, no, you know what? No. The character progression is completely different. It's more so the gameplay is more traditional. So let's just change that right now. What I said was completely incorrect. Yeah, so the gameplay is a little bit more traditional. The character progression is definitely not. So this is how you level up. The skill tree. Each character, there's currently 3 in the game. It is still just a demo. And last one was only in July, man. I wonder when we're going to get another update. Because honestly, this game is a lot of fun. I'm not lying. This is a great game. So each character has their own couple of weapons that they're always going to have. These weapons are unique to those characters as you level them. The upgrades are random. But the game does something I really like with how its randomization goes, as every weapon always rolls 2 effects. Each weapon, as you can see, has a limit to how high it can go. And, well, when you level up, you gain a skill point. As you can see, this guy has 7 skill points, which is, again, this is how the game is very unique. So the higher you go in level, the more skill points that are required, but, you are getting more powerful passives. So you can use your skill points to either upgrade, as this, see, to get to the final upgrade takes 5 skill points, or you can re-roll to really try to hope for just those stats that you just need. So it's not really a bad idea to dump a couple levels early on into some levels, but once you start getting into multiple skill point costs, you want to make sure you get what you want, which again, this is a very different system than many other games. I like seeing things that are different, and I really love this game for it. Then, when you get to the end of a wave, which I'm not even sure, I never even timed it how long it is, but whatever, you get to pick a item. So these items are the kind of general weapons that all characters can use. They will get added to the skill tree, and you can level them just like you would your character skills. It's a way to really differentiate your build, as there's quite a few different items, and I'm assuming there's going to only ever be more. So each of these has their own unique aspect that makes them different, and well, obviously they're different weapons. So yeah, then you level them and blah, blah, blah. It's fun. I like the game. I'm putting it up here. This is still just a demo. Actually, these are all demos, but these are both demos too. So is this. But there's a lot of games here that are just demos, which is kind of... This is a genre that's just starting to grow, and we are just hitting the point where some of them are getting a little derivative, but whatever. Alright, let's go on to the next game. Oops, don't drop my mouse again. I am not in my regular spot right now, so yeah, it's a little awkward, my recording setup right now, so please bear with me. Alright, Project Lazarus. Now, this game's got some really cool ideas. It's got some not so incredible ideas to go along with them, sadly, but let's focus on the positive to start. So, in this game, as you can see, you play as a mech suit. You are much bigger and more powerful than your foes. As you know, you're not just some random dude fighting a bunch of other random dudes. Nah, you're fighting big bugs as an even bigger robot. So you can actually destroy enemies by just walking on them. You still will take damage. Though there is an entire character designed around that concept of just this guy right here. Actually, this guy who's like a tank. Which brings up to the next point of what I really like about the game. Each character feels different to control. That tank guy I was showing, yeah, he drives like a tank, which is very different from this one, who is a walking robot, who feels kind of like a traditional, what you would do in a regular arena survival game. The game is kind of balanced around using a controller, so you can kind of rotate with one stick and move with the other. It's interesting. And the other thing that's really interesting is this, the upgrade system. So each mech has a different setup of how it goes. So you have like primary weapons, these two are both primary, like your secondary, your auxiliary weapons, and your passives. So you can equip multiple of the same if you really wanted to, or you can just upgrade one. It's interesting how that's set up. It's really kind of cool. So you can just have, if you really like the machine gun, just keep building machine guns. You really like this poison gas? Build up all 4 of your auxiliaries with poison gas. You can do that. You will eventually have them kind of. They do level up separately though, so there is that. So each character is different with their upgrade setup. So some of them have more primaries, some have less. Like there's one character that gets 1 primary and like 6 passives, and then just a bunch of other smaller weapons. Like it's kind of cool how that setup is. I really like the upgrade system. The problem with the game is the general gameplay is very basic for an arena survival roguelite. There really isn't any real reason to do too much exploring. There really isn't that much enemy variety, if like at all. There's a couple moments that are kind of like a little trap moment of like a circle of enemies will appear, like kind of like that was right there, who end up blocking out the enemies, or maybe there's a couple moments with a erratic movement kind of patterned enemy that just walks by, but they're very like small. It's like you get like 2 per run, and it's like meh. I like they're trying. This game is trying, and I do hope it does well. When was the last update? July 24th. Oof. I hope it gets more updates. All right. Well, Project Lazarus, it's just going into some potential. Sadly. I do really like this game. Like, I like a lot of the ideas. I love the way that each of the characters feels. I love the upgrade system. I just wish the base gameplay was just a little bit better. All right. Next we have Hollow Cure. So this game is one that you have to, you download it from its site. It's very much it's a fan-made game based off of the HoloLive VTubers, which is something that I honestly know nothing about, nor do I have really any interest to learn. The game doesn't change that, but that being said, this is actually a very, very well-made game. So we only really got like 2 gameplay screenshots here, but they kind of show enough. So what makes the game very unique is, well, each character has their own unique weapon. So that's not that unique, right? Like we've seen that many times. And you got a bunch of other weapons, and you got a bunch of passive slots. Again, nothing too unique. But you see this whirlpool here? This is a passive for the character. But the character does not start with a passive. So each character has 3 different passives that are that are essentially unlocks through leveling. And each of those is very unique and really can change the way the game works to make a lot of, there's a lot of depth between each character, which is crazy. The game also does have a lot of kind of those trap moments that I talk about that I actually really like about Vampire Survivors. This game is probably the closest to copying that aspect of Vampire Survivors. There is no real. All right, let's go down here to the level. See, this is a passive. Actually, this is nice because there's your base weapon. There's a passive that's unique to the character, and then you can get other weapons and passives, as you can see. Like, they're not passive, like support items. I guess they're technically passives. So, yeah, I don't really know. Oh, yeah, there's the other. I can't believe I almost forgot about probably the best system of the game. See this arrow here? So that's the arrow of, essentially, that is the direction your character is moving in. That's where you would be aiming your attacks. Well, the game has a system where you can hold down what they call the strafe button, and now you're locked into this. So you can be aiming down, and say you had a weapon that only fired where you were aiming. They currently do not. But say you did, you can then, if you're holding the button, you can just walk around like that and just be constantly still just shooting down, which is really cool. I really like that system, and I can't put it any lower than this, almost purely because of that system, even though this is based off of something that I really don't care about. Let's be honest. I really don't. Judging the game as a game, it's great. I do kind of wish it got a couple more stages, and just so we can have a little bit more uniqueness to each thing. If this game adds more stages or adds secrets like Vampire Survivors for exploring the stage, yeah. And there's nothing I can do about it. Even if I don't care about the source material, it would still be there. But it doesn't have that yet, so it's staying here. Alright. This next one's a weird one. Yeah, we probably have to... why are you not... Damn it, I can't spell worth a damn. And I know I spelled survivors wrong, so it's not going to show up there. Uh-oh. Please, bear with me. Okay, fine. You know what? We'll do this differently. I didn't really want to use my Steam page, but whatever. Oh, my internet dropped. That's the problem. Alright, it's back though. Woo! Alright, so Pixel Survivors. The first thing you'll probably notice once this trailer decides to actually show gameplay is his characters, especially this guy right here, probably look a little similar, as this game is using the same asset pack as Nomad Survival. So neither of the games, I think, made the asset pack. They're both just using one that they purchased. That is the point of an asset pack. Don't be all like, oh, there's an asset flip. This game is a scam. No. Both games are very much their own game. Now, this is a great moment. I don't know why they would have put that in the trailer, but to really show what this game is. I've described the Arena Survival Roguelite games, genre, as very much reminding me of old Flash games in the way that they play and the progressions and all of that. And Pixel Survivors is almost the most Flash gamey feeling one. This is an old trailer. This is another example of a game that needs to really update their store page. This honestly looks like garbage compared to how the game looks now. They've actually updated some of the UI. They did not update this tile set for this first area. It does still look this bland, but whatever. So yeah, I want to talk about, where was it? This right here, as you can see, the game has kind of got some moments where it's a little rough. This just looks weird to me, how it's set up, and I can't believe they would have put that in the trailer. But that being said, the game is good, actually. Surprise, surprise. I was honestly so surprised. I picked this game up when I started making this tier list, purely so I could have something to probably throw into the bottom tiers. That's a little bit rude to say, but that was my original intention. And, well, I can say I was wrong. This is actually fun. The character unlocks are all based off of challenges, essentially. There are a couple that are purchasable, but it's just the first ones to get you started, which is fine. But for the most part, it's all about doing a different challenge, beating certain levels on certain difficulties, defeating X amount of certain enemies, and blah, blah, blah. I like it. I do actually weirdly like this game, and I never would have expected that. Alright, where are we going to next? Well, I know exactly where we're going to next. Rogue Soulstone. Man, I really wish my internet connection would work. Alright, Rogue Soulstone is... I don't know what to say. So, you may ask if this one even truly counts as an Arena Survival Roguelite, as it's got a completely different perspective of everything else in the genre. I think it still counts. And honestly, I think this is a potential for the future of what we could have for more stuff in this genre. I would love to see more that are, you know, different perspectives, play a little differently than just regular. And I like that. Like, imagine if we get like an FPS with arena survival mechanics. That's going to be pretty cool. I guess I should probably talk about the game we're talking about. So this game has a really weird problem in that I find, like, you start a run off and you're like, yes, this is going to be hype. And then about 5 minutes in, all the excitement seems to just fizzle out. This might just be a uniquely me problem, but I find this game just, I don't know what it is. It takes a long time to accomplish a lot of the stuff because of the way the enemy scaling works, combined with how your character leveling works. As you probably saw earlier in this trailer, the game does have the whole system of fill up experience. You get to pick between 3 things. The game really wants you to be grabbing damage. The problem is, you don't always get damage. And if you don't get enough damage fast enough, the run like screeches to a halt. And that really sucks. And I'm throwing the game into here. All right, let's just... I don't think it's bad. I think it has potential, but... Alright, Soulstone Survivors. Did I put a little bit more time into this than I did? Oh well. Alright. So Soulstone Survivors is a very... Wow, okay, you loaded up properly there, Steam page. Oh well. I kind of like the way this looks, though. So Soulstone Survivors is, as you can see, very similar to Rogue Soulstone, except it follows a more traditional arena survival perspective. Also, skills are auto-casting as they go. I think it would have been cool if they made them manual cast to make the game kind of feel like more like an ARPG. I think that could have been cool, but again, I don't know. I think it may have required a lot of other changes to the game to really get that going. So this game does have a decent variety of enemy types, though it does have the same exact problem as Rogue Soulstone of really needing to have enough damage as fast as possible. Though I will say it feels much less of a problem here, and you can kind of do it a little easier. It's kind of weird that they showed the guy dying to the same thing in both trailers. And yeah, like, this game is one I've seen that's got a lot of positivity online. And I don't want to be all like, well, I don't see it. It's kind of, but I just don't know if I'm fully the target audience. I'm going to say it's good. It's better than Rogue Soulstone, in my opinion, right now. But I think both of these games have potential. It's very weird that the dev has decided to do 2 games at the same time that are essentially the same game, but different perspectives. So we'll have to see where that goes. All right, Spellbook Demon Slayer. So, I played this game on stream once, and honestly, I was really harsh on it. Honestly, way more than I should have been. I don't know, I think this was just the game that got me to the point where I was kind of getting a little bit fed up with just walk-at-you enemies, which I feel is understandable, because I didn't focus at all on any of the game's positives. And the game actually has some positives to it. It has quite a few positives to it, actually. So, the power progression for your character in this game is honestly some of the best. They haven't updated the trailer, but they have actually updated the screenshots, which is kind of cool. Because eventually they did add it so you can actually play as a character and then your chosen book, which was your characters originally. Like right here, the different characters, which is just following behind you, which I think that's kind of fun. Can't really see the books in any of the screenshots though. What the heck? That's a little weird. So the game's power progression is fantastic. Each of the skills levels up at a nice pace, but the big thing is the passives. The game's passives are some of the most unique passives. Yeah, the first 3 levels are kind of make stat go big, but then you get unique effects after the 4th one. The game also recently added in a system that you can, through using like the meta progression currency, well, it's just as a form of meta progression, I guess I should say, you can make it so after you max a skill, you can throw more points into it to actually upgrade the base values a little more. I don't think it upgrades the unique effects at all. But the other big system of the game is stuff like this. So enemies, the elite enemies, while on death, will drop a like chest that gives you some random, will upgrade some of your random skills, nothing too fancy there. But you see this big aura? If you kill the enemy while in their aura, you get to steal their effect. Another thing is, sometimes while leveling up, or I'm not sure if it's leveling up or through time, shrines will appear. So like it'll have the same type of aura, but it'll be constantly shrinking, and there'll be a number associated with it. So if you kill enough enemies while in that circle, you'll gain another buff. So yeah, a lot of, I will say this right now, this game is also using a lot of, the enemy types are from an asset pack, I think, and I think they just drew a scary mouth onto them, and honestly, I kind of love that. Like, all right, I'm just hoping that we can see the other, right here, these mushrooms here are another one. I can tell I just had a scary mouth drawn on, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So they did mention in the update with the, inclusion of the actual main character that they're planning on updating art as they go. So I'm not sure if these enemy types are placeholder for now or that they're going to stay. I can honestly say keep some of the scary mouth stuff. It's just so silly. Either way, it's a good game. Yes, I guess like I did briefly mention it, but like the enemy variety is non-existent. It is just walk at you enemies. There is nothing to find in the bland map. There is like the power progression is god tier. Everything else is competently made. Like don't make it sound like I'm just saying it's bad. No, it's very competently made. The hitboxes are good. You move well. The different weapons are all fantastic. I really love the system of like when you get a weapon to level 5, you can evolve it into its upgraded version where it gains a new passive and then keep leveling it some more after that. But then also the base weapon will go back into the pool of other weapons if you don't have them. So you can create some really fun builds through that. Like the game's builds are great. Like they're absolutely incredible. It's just, there isn't that much interesting stuff to do with it. Hence just going here. All right. Seeing what I had next. There we go. Idle Maku. This was a game I didn't even know existed until it showed up one day in my Steam Discovery queue. So you'll probably look at this and see very, very basic arena survival. And that's not inherently wrong, but I think there's more to it than you'll initially see. And I don't think this trailer is actually going to do a good job of showing what makes the game, I feel, have the potential to be pretty unique. This is a game that, in my opinion, seems to be brimming with potential, but it's just not quite there yet. As, you know, honestly, these trailer is not showing off how I feel about the game at all. This is looking very basic, but whatever. So, actually, let's just jump through some screenshots, see if I can find something that shows more so what I'm thinking. Not overly. Alright, so let's just go over some of the systems of the game. So this game is the shortest runs, I believe, of any of the other arena survival ones. It's just 500 seconds. It's like 8 and a bit minutes, right? So upon leveling a weapon, which you can see, this is the laser here. The guy has the laser here, which is just the rotating damage field. You gain essentially everything about that weapon. So everything will go up. Its damage goes up. Its attack speed goes up. If it's something that can benefit from projectiles, the projectile amount will go up. See, this is just a level 4 laser, firing this many lasers. Because the game's fast of how long it is, the weapon progression feels really, really good. And, alright, I really wish I could show off something that I really... Actually, this one might be it, showing it. So one of the things that I really hope the game focuses on, because this is something that I think that it does relatively well already, but I would love to see become more of its unique focus, because it would give it a unique focus, is Enemies also will attack you with projectiles. Not every enemy, there are just enemies of different varieties that are essentially ranged enemies. So they have regular, I walk at you, and then they have shooty guys. So there is enemy variety in this game. The enemies will fire at a crazy like attack speed. They don't do massive amounts of damage, so it's not like oh, you instantly died thanks to BS that you can't control. But it creates this moment in which the game becomes a game in which the enemies are launching bullet hell patterns at you, and you're launching them right back. And I really want that to be what this game goes for, because I think that would be really, really cool. Because that's something that there isn't quite that exists. Well, there's another game on the list that kind of is doing that, but it's doing it with a different perspective. So I think that both games could easily exist like alongside each other without actually even causing any sort of problem. The other thing that I'm not sure about, and honestly I should probably put a post on the games forum, see if I can get the dev to respond. I don't know if what language they speak normally, so they might not actually respond at all. But I went to the game, like the game has like the meta progression upgrade shop, and the one time I went there to upgrade a skill, they have the shopkeeper person, which just generally says something basic like, this is where you upgrade your skills, or those abilities will make you a little stronger. The one time they were like, I hear there's a mage lost in the plains. And I'm like, what? So I spent a good chunk of time looking through the first area, which is the plains, to see if I can find a secret character hidden in here. I could not do it. And if that is something that is actually in the game, it probably would go here right now. Because sadly, the game is a little basic. Right now, it's under some potential. This is a game that is potential. Let's just say that. And if this game is going to start doing like unlocks through secrets kind of stuff, like Vampire Survivors, like I need to see more games do that. And I think this one has potential to do that. Honestly, I'm going to switch up my order a little bit here, as I want to, because after mentioning that, I want to talk about another one that I think does a great job of this. Okay, fine, something went wrong. Let's just right here. It's great timing for me to record this when for some reason my internet is being wonky. Alright, so this game right here, Biters and Bullets. It's another arena survival roguelite, as everything in this tier list is. Alright, actually, you know what? We're going to change this up. Changing my order now that the trailer is going. The power-ups that you get from opening, like, just the random crates in this game, they're fantastic, and I love them. They're all super silly. So, what makes the game... Alright, so what the big thing that's different for the game is... Well, not really different, but how the game's base progression works. So you pick a character. There's currently, like, 4 characters you can play as. One of them needs to be unlocked. More into how the unlocks go a little later, but... Each character is mostly just different passives, base starting passives, though the game's meta progression is essentially allowing you to upgrade the stats on a character that is unique to them to make them even more so about it, instead of actually having global upgrades, which is a cool system. It could become a little grindy in the future, but it's different, and I do like that. So, yeah. Then you pick a weapon. There's, again, I think 4 weapons in the game. Each of those can also be upgraded in a similar manner to the characters. They all fire differently. They fire automatically. And I think there's a mode that you can set so you can actually auto-aim, which is kind of cool, but I've never actually put it on. Or not auto-aim, but like manually aim. But I don't really care about that, honestly. That's not how I play. I want the game to do as much as possible for me. Alright. But... so the way the unlocks work. The unlocks are very, very much secrets. And I love it. So, let's go back, actually. Let's go to here. So you see these achievements. All of these achievements are, like, they're very vague as to what you need to do. I know what I have to do here. I just haven't been able to do it. But these are all associated with, like, I think this one gets you a new starting weapon. This one gets you another, like, secondary weapon. This one gets you a new character. I've seen them all, but I don't know what to do for that. Well, this one, so collecting the warheads, you don't have to do that in a single run. They're just hidden throughout the map, because something that the game does incredibly is its map. Its map is a set map. It's well designed, and it's very much for you to constantly just keep exploring. Look for the secrets. Find the new stuff that's hidden around the map. Like that, it doesn't change, but it's very well made as how it is. And I don't think I'll be able to find a screenshot of the area that I would... Alright, see, this is kind of where the one secret is for that one that's like about stones. This is a little off to the side. There's a little puzzle in which you have to stand on stones in the right order. I've not been able to do it because every time I get there, I start getting swarmed. So, yeah. My biggest negative for this game is honestly its theming. I'm kind of sick of zombies. The game did also have kind of a humor to it that was kind of best described as like trying to be kind of offensive, but not really. No, offensive isn't right. Crude, I guess, more so. But it actually, it's like a lot of like the power-ups were kind of different narcotics and stuff like that, and the passives were, and it's kind of like, I don't really like that. But then they actually have, I guess, kind of, that must have been a common complaint because those were all changed recently, which I'm actually very happy about. But I love the way you unlock stuff in this game. It's great. I guess, yeah, there's also an active system, like active skills, which you can see here. This guy has the dodge equipped, so you can just dodge on, like, you got to pick one of, again, I think it was 4 actives, but like, so the one achievement that I managed to get, like this one right here, to unlock this wolf, you unlock this wolf as a essentially a weapon. I found like a graveyard. And at the end of that graveyard, there's a destroyed house. I just kind of went to the edge of the destroyed house, and you could see a dead wolf in there. And then after that, the Grim Reaper shows up, and then you have to fight him, and then upon defeating him, bam, you unlock the wolf as a weapon, which is really cool. So the game's leveling of the weapons is another one of those games that uses a very random weapon, or random upgrade kind of system, which... the problems of that system, I think, are pretty obvious, in which you eventually can get to points where you don't get the stats you need and your weapons begin to feel mediocre at best. And I think the devs noticed that, and I'm hoping they go a little further with what they did for their changes, because currently they made it so it's just for the primary weapon you start with, because you can't actually pick up multiples of the primary. Whatever your primary is, that is, like, you don't get anything else like it. They're all unique. Just weapons that you can pick at the start. But they made it so every time you upgrade them now, you always get damage. And the amount of damage you get does vary on the upgrade, so that's kind of cool, and I would love to see that expanded to all weapons in the future, and I think this game... I'm not a huge fan of the theming. I love almost everything else. This game's great. Okay, I'm just going to keep messing up with my order. Next, we have Alpha Mono S. I want to go here. So this game, if I was making an award for probably the best game you have never played, it's this one. This game is fun to play. Like, it's very simple. Each run is at most 10 minutes. And as you can tell by looking at the screenshots here, it's very much a like old school shmup style of game mixed with that of the arena survival. Maybe you can't even see the arena survival in it until you look at this here. And it creates a really fun system. When I was on Idle Maku and I was saying there's another game that really does everybody bullet hell kind of well, this was it. I have played this a bit on the channel already, and if you want to see more of the game, just check out some of those videos. But honestly, this game is great, and I do very much recommend people try it. It's not on Steam currently. I think actually, if this game ever got a Steam demo, I really think this will explode. It is fun, so you have to go into itch to play it. But that being said, no. I've played enough of this game. I think people probably can see why my opinions on it. It's going up to great. All right, now let's get these last 4. I've been talking a lot and I'm starting to get tired. All right, Star Survivor. I said Star Survivor and then clicked. There we go. So Star Survivor here, as you can see, another one that's in space. I mean, it probably should have ordered it differently, but whatever. So The game is very much more inspired by something along the lines of Asteroid, as you can tell due to the way the character is moving in this trailer. Okay, I don't know why we just say roguelike upgrades. Build your deck. All right, this is the other system that makes the game interesting. So, upon completing runs, you unlock cards. And essentially what you're supposed to do is make a deck out of those cards, which will essentially be your pool of upgrades that you can pull from. I think you have to have a deck of at least 30. Probably can put more into it because that would just be 30 levels, because upon equipping a card, it is removed from the pool. So you have to put multiples of the same one for the amount of levels you would want for that upgrade, which it's a really interesting and kind of cool system. The problem that I have with it is, well, everything is, it takes the meta progression currency to add, remove, upgrade, put more copies of each card in the deck. There is currently not different deck slots, so the game feels very grindy for no reason. And I don't know if that was the right way of putting a meta progression into this game, because I don't think there should be any penalty for building the deck. If that is the main system for the game, you should be able to just take what you get and put it together to create something really fun. I think there's some really good systems here. Enemy variety is, again, very basic, but you do see there's a couple little ones that show up. But like, this game does not have an end goal. It is literally just survive as long as you can. So having more of that be added in will be really nice. Currently, I'm going to put the game into some potential, as I think it does have quite a bit of potential. But could be a little better, and I hope it is soon. All right, next we have Roguelite. Now this one is weird. I like it. I haven't actually played that much of it, honestly. Probably should play a little bit more. So, looking at it right now, you're probably saying, oh, this looks like a pretty basic arena survival. And yes, the base gameplay very much is. But this is not. So the game has a more deck builder type of progression system. So you can see the whole path of where you're going. You got enemy fights, there'll be elite fights, you got random events, you got the treasure chest, which will give you different artifacts, which are essentially just different unique passives, very similar to an artifact from a deck builder. So landing on one of these encounters puts you into a point in which you're fighting. You're going and doing some arena survival stuff, but then you have an objective. So for this one here, you got to kill 420 enemies to move on to the next spot. Upon completing this, you get some of the game's gold, which you can use in the shops, as well as a free card, which are your upgrades. So you always essentially get a free level, plus you can level up as you would normally in these games by collecting the experience orbs that drop from the enemies. So putting those two systems together, you end up creating there's a very, very interesting game here. Currently, I'd say it's a little bit early. So, do I put it up here? It's got some real... I really like... Nah, I'm putting it up here right now. Because I do really like where I think it could go. Sadly, the enemy design for, the base enemies are or not the enemy design. Oh, speaking of enemy design, remember how I said... Spellbook Demon Slayer used an asset pack, but drew some scary... I think they drew scary... Oh, wait, do those actually have scary mouths drawn on them? I don't know. But you can see these are the same enemies. So, yeah, they did come... As you can see, it was very much from an asset pack. And, well, what I wanted to say originally, there isn't really a variety to the enemies. It's just each enemy type has differing amounts of health, which is a little disappointing. I hope there is a little bit more variety thrown in to that, and that'll, yeah, you know what, we're gonna put it down because of that. No, it's actually no, it stays up because it's actually it's got some great ideas that just need to be expanded a little bit more, because there is a boss with its own unique mechanics, and it's an actual fight at the very end. So I kind of want to see more of that kind of stuff added in. And when that happens, the game is going to probably jump up quite a bit. All right, Cult of Babel. Really? I only put 40 minutes into this? I swear. Oh, yeah. No. That's why. Because the game's demo originally. The game was a demo originally, and then it kind of. Just yesterday, they removed the demo. You couldn't play it anymore. Instead, they created the prologue version. I was like, I swear I put a lot of time into this. Yes, no. That's what it was. So, again, this is another game that's kind of... It's got a very similar, like, base gameplay system to that of 20 minutes. And... Well, I guess that's really all there is to say about that. Now, the upgrade system is what really puts this game apart. As it's kind of... I'd say kind of... shoot, what was I trying to think of? Oh, well, here we go. Here it is. It's like Brotato, in which you wait X amount of time, and then you just collect money throughout the mission from the defeated enemies, and then you use those to buy stuff from the shops. You can re-roll the shop, you can buy as many items as you want, and you can also upgrade the cards that you've bought. So each card can only be upgraded once, but it's still, it's a very different system. See, these are a bunch of, they only start glowing when they're upgraded, see. You can upgrade them, you can buy as many cards as you want. As long as you have money, you can keep doing stuff, and, well, this is, again, a game that's very much about really making everything just go crazy. So there are active skills for each of the two characters in the game, as well as having different starting weapons and starting, like, passives. And all of it does kind of work pretty well. My one complaint with the game is I really wish that the dash had iframes. Like, they made that into an upgrade, and I don't know. I don't think that's right. I think because the way you are swarmed by enemies, and having no iframes on the dash is kind of suspect. Like, okay, one thing I didn't mention about Bounty of One, this game has an incredible amount of iframes on the dash to really balance out the sheer amount of enemies they throw at you. It's good. I like Cult of Babel. I want to see where this goes in the future. There's almost already an argument that I could place it up here, but I'm not going to. Now, you might ask, why do sometimes you type it and other times you go to it? I don't know. I just do. All right, for the final game, we have Bone Razor Minions. And we're not going to it. There we go. So, this game has a very different type of idea of how it wants to play out. So, there's a lot of different stuff for meta progression. A lot of that they were showing was for that. But you don't really get to see much of what makes the game unique here. Right, this will be a good screenshot. So your character doesn't normally do anything. Like, he can't attack in any way. He just moves. You have a dodge, just solid dodge, but you're mostly just moving around. You can get some passive upgrades that will allow you to get like a damage aura or some orbitals and those kind of things. But every time you level up, which is when you collect 100 bones, which are, dropped from the enemies, you get to summon a skelly man or a zombie or any sort of assorted undead or some demons even. But either way, you summon them, and they will go around and do the fighting for you. They generally try to stick close enough to you, but, there are ranged ones, melee ones, whatever. So the main thing is just them doing their thing while you just try to survive and then collect stuff to build more. You can upgrade them up to, like, 3 tiers, and then eventually you can get, like, a evolved version. You're only allowed a certain number of evolved ones, but you can also start like fusing different different guys of the same rarity together to create some other more powerful ones. And there's a lot of really cool systems. Each of the characters is they have their own little meta progression tree for each character. There is a lot to this game. Well, system wise, sadly, you're going to probably be able to max everything in like 3 hours. And there is like a leaderboards right now, but honestly, I don't trust leaderboards in anything right now. It's like people are always cheating and whatnot. But it's a great game. I do recommend this one. And, well, we've hit the end. So I would love to know what you think about my placements of all these games. Are there any ones that you think are completely crazy and you've begun calling people to try to get me institutionalized because how dare he put Frey Fight here? This is the best game. Or something along those lines. So just any comments of what I would love to hear, like what you want, what you like, and I would also Any comments about other games you think belong on this tier list? I want to keep expanding this every month, so the more games, the better. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this. Next month we're going to be having the next version. We're going to let them moving around. So yeah, either way, hope to see you again next time. Bye for now.